Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and I'm here to bring you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. And I forgot to put the logo up front, so all the topics are just up now. But sorry for having to take last week off. Had COVID again, which is great when you start immunosuppressants. Was not in a position to do the podcast last week, but that's okay. So got some news this week, mostly coming out of GenCon, and a lot of sort of Wizards of the Coast focused stuff this week, but we do have, some various gaming news for you. So hope everyone has been doing well. And as always, thank you for listening and contributing. This is episode 285. That's right. We are 15 episodes away from the big 300. So hard to believe. It's been a labor of love for sure. Looking forward to it. So why don't we get right into this week's topics? So away we go. All right, so first up, Gamesradar reports that the latest game in the D&D series, Baldur's Gate 3 by Larian Studios, had the second biggest launch of 2023 on Steam, second only to Hogwarts Legacy. And it currently boasts the highest concurrent player count record at 814,666. So what that means is there are that many people actually playing, or at least having the game open at the same time. So pretty notable. I'm certainly enjoying it. I absolutely played the bejesus out of Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. And this sort of continues in that trend. It uses that engine to do Baldur's Gate, which folks who are longtime stream watchers have recall. I tried playing Baldur's Gate 1 on stream. Does not hold up. I play D&D, so, and I'm certainly enjoying it. So definitely see why it's a big launch. I've also seen it's giving Tears of the Kingdom a run for the money for Game of the Year. So that'll be interesting to see. It hasn't even released on PS5 yet. That's coming a week from today, in fact, I believe. So that'll be a big hit for a lot of folks. So next up, Dungeons & Dragons. In a source that we don't use very often, the Associated Press. So you know something's big when the Associated Press is reporting on Dungeons & Dragons. Reported, Wizards of the Coast has instituted a no AI art policy for upcoming D&D books. This is in response to an incident with their latest upcoming book, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, when an illustrator that they've worked with on many projects in the past, freelance illustrator that they've worked with, used AI scripts in their work. Now, the artist claims that it was mostly doing like cleanup work, and the bulk of the work was done by them. Wizards has worked it out with this illustrator. They are going to resubmit new artwork for the book. However, it's pretty late in the production cycle, so I don't know if they're able to pull that before it gets printed. So there may be like a first run with that artwork in it. it's nothing the actual subject matter of the artwork is nothing controversial or anything. It's just the fact that AI tools were used. And in this case, a lot of folks are saying like, well, I'm going to boycott D&D over this. I think this is the case of, I think Wizards is doing appropriate action. Obviously, they should have had a policy like that in place from the get-go, but, at the same time, if it's somebody that you've worked with in the past and it hasn't been an issue before, and now suddenly they start using these tools, it's this is a case where, yeah, I think this is a fine reaction that Wizards has, and the action that they're taking is, putting a policy in place and saying like, we're not going to accept AI art, and codifying it, I mean, is the way you deal with this. So, but yeah, it's the fact that that it slipped in, and apparently it was like you could tell with the hands and the arms and stuff, it was a little weird and contorted. Which, that said, I mean, there's certainly been D&D art in the past where AI art was definitely not used, or any AI scripts, I should say, was not used to help clean up stuff and everything, and definitely had some questionable anatomy choices in there. So take that with what you will. Next up, for GenCon, The Verge reports that a pair of men stole nearly $300,000 worth of trading card game product from vendors. By just like, it was in unopened like shipping boxes. So like it wasn't like in the boxes that were like, it wasn't like booster boxes and stuff where you would see them on the shelf at the game store. It was like in sort of the just brown nondescript shipping boxes that they basically got like a pallet jack and just took the whole pallet and just like, I don't want to say drove, but like pushed it out of the convention while vendors were setting up. Still unclear as to what product was stolen. The only one that we have confirmation at this point was Ravensburger has said that all of their Lorcana product is accounted for. So, which I didn't have it in the notes here, but it kind of falls into GenCon. Yeah, that absolute disaster of a first day for Ravensburger with giving out Lorcana stuff. Very clear mismanagement of handling queues and crowds and things. As there at one point there was a 2-hour queue to purchase this stuff. Folks, I don't like spending more than 20 minutes in a queue at Disney World. So the fact that there's people like waiting 2 hours in line to buy like Disney product that, mind you, will be going on sale later this month at your local game store. No, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't know. And the issue was with the mismanagement was there were folks who were like camped out overnight essentially to like save their spot in line, and were trying to help coordinate like setting up a queue. And then I guess GenCon security came in and like kicked them out and broke it up and said like, this is a mob and everything. And basically like those people who had been camping out overnight like lost their place in line. It was a mess. I guess everything got sorted out the following days, but not a good look for Ravensburger and GenCon that first day. So next up, for Magic the Gathering, kind of again out of GenCon, Wizards of the Coast revealed the upcoming sets for the next few years, kind of taking a page out of sort of the Marvel Disney playbook of like, here's the stuff coming out for like the next phase 5 or whatever. Uh, and of course, because it's Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering, there's a lot in just like a 3-year span. So we're going to get Murders at Karlov Manor, which is a murder mystery set based in Ravnica. For those who are not familiar, Ravnica is it's like the city of guilds. So it's kind of like Coruscant, where the whole plane, the whole dimension is just one big city, and there's like 12 guilds that cover all aspects of life. And it's a lot of like political intrigue and everything. Um, so to see like a murder mystery, and Karlov Manor is related to sort of like um, it's like the guild that covers, oh geez, basically has to do with like money lending and stuff like that. But essentially, they're deal brokers. Um, but it's also like a church. It's basically like what if a church was also organized crime, um, and like what if you could put like ghosts to work? Yeah, like they indenture ghosts to work off their debts, kind of a thing. They're not great, but that is the guild that is aligned with what I assume would be Karlov Manor. So it's also very spooky and ghosts and ghoulies and stuff like that. Um, so next up, the Wild West themed Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which is one of the best names of a Magic set I've heard of. And Wild West, that just sounds great. Um, there's going to be the Redwall-inspired set Bloomburrow, a 1980s horror themed, sort of modern horror themed Duskmourn House of Horror. The promotional art for that had someone with an EMF reader, uh, like from Ghostbusters, like just that style. So very sort of 1980s horror themed. There's gonna be a Death Race set, sort of a Death Race Wacky Racers type set. There's gonna be a space opera set, and returns to Tarkir, which hasn't been seen since Dragons of Tarkir, Cons of Tarkir, Lorwyn, which nobody ever thought we were going back to, and Strixhaven, which is sort of D&D's like magical school Harry Potter-esque set. It's going to be Modern Horizons 3 for all of the overpriced nonsense for Commander players. Jurassic World alt art cards for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So what these are is so alternate art cards are, they will say, like they did this previously with Ikoria, which was set basically on kaiju, and so they did like a Godzilla series, and so it would say like Godzilla King of the Monsters, but then below it would have the name of the magic card that it represents, and it would just have the rules text for that magic card, but the art would be like a full art bleed with Godzilla, some sort of Godzilla art on it. So it's gonna have this, but Jurassic World. So it's gonna have like the T-Rex, the Velociraptors, the Dilophosaurus probably. I'm trying to think of what the other. Probably Indominus Rex, or the Indoraptor. I never actually saw the third Jurassic World film, so I'm sure there's something in there. Maybe probably Therizinosaurus, I heard was a big thing. So just like iconic dinosaurs. And they made it. They seem to put a lot of emphasis on dinosaurs. So like it's not going to be like Dr. Grant or Dr. Malcolm or anything like that, since there's already been a big backlash over like The Walking Dead and Stranger Things secret lair type stuff. But then we're also going to get Fallout Commander decks. So for any Fallout fans out there that also play Magic the Gathering, that's going to come. So that is going to be sort of like the Warhammer and Doctor Who series, where it's not a full set, but it's like a bunch of like themed commander decks. Uh, there's going to be an Assassin's Creed mini set. It's going to be in what are called like Beyond boosters, which, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like you're just going to put them in booster packs full of only Universes Beyond cards, which is like no different than just doing a set. Like, that's just basically like buying booster packs for like Adventures in Forgotten Realms or the Baldur's Gate set. But, and then finally, there's going to be a full-fledged Final Fantasy set, and it's going to cover all of the mainline games. So I'm hyped about that one. Now, Universes Beyond, which is in Magic the Gathering, is basically any cards that are from IPs that are separate from Magic the Gathering's own IP. So this includes things like, there was the Walking Dead secret lair, there was the Stranger Things secret lair, there was the Street Fighter secret lair. Like, those are all considered Universes Beyond. But also, like, the D&D sets are considered Universes Beyond. The Lord of the Rings set is considered Universes Beyond. So, Universes Beyond is a very controversial topic, I guess, within the Magic the Gathering community. There's a lot of folks who don't like it. They don't like the fact that Magic is, instead of a game with its own self-contained IP that ties into the game mechanics, it's now becoming a larger vehicle of mechanics to incorporate other IPs, much in the same way that Fortnite is. My personal feelings are, I'm on the opposite end, where, were it not for Universes Beyond, I would not be playing Magic right now. Like, I just wouldn't be playing it. I got back in because of the Dungeons and Dragons sets. And got picked back up with like the Street Fighter stuff. I've been making my own proxies of like Mario and Zelda cards. But like, I'm super stoked for Final Fantasy set. Like, I want nothing more than like Sephiroth to go. Like, I would love for Sephiroth to go up against like Gandalf, or Cloud to be able to fight alongside, Karn or Minsk, and Minsk and Boo, and just throw it, and then you have like the Godzilla cards, so and really, I like the absurdity of that. I love the absurdity of like the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, which was like a meme at one point on one of the sort of database sites, since they were able to do representations of Gandalf, after this was after the Lord of the Rings set came out, and they were able to do like the Gandalfs, the Black Knight, the Blue Meanie and all that, for that, and it was great. So, and plus, like, the whole point in Magic now is like the multiverse is broken, and so like Planeswalkers, like the whole point about them was like they were sort of deific, but their big shtick was like they could just jump in between planes or dimensions at will. So for those who have seen Multiverse of Madness, sort of like America Chavez, but like they can just do it instantaneously, and they also have like they're immortal, and they have a bunch of other high powered stuff to them. But the latest in universe story is they broke that to fight this like world or universe level threat. And so now there are what are called like these omen paths, which are, to try and really keep it simple, basically like the branches of Yggdrasil going through all of the various planes and dimensions and linking them together, so that like you can just like hop onto one of these omen paths and just follow it and take that into other realms. So, I mean, I feel like there's an in-universe reason for allowing all of these other IPs to come in, right? So, I'm not against it by any means. I also think I also love the hilarity of like that Fortnite's just become this dumping ground of every IP. So, for Magic the Gathering to become like the card game version of that, I think it's pretty cool, personally. So, but yeah, Jurassic World alt art cards. I'm all down. Like Dinosaurs was the other time that I got back into Magic. Uh, Final Fantasy all over. Um, an Outlaws of Thunder Junction just for the name. Like that sounds great. Um, so, but yeah, the Final Fantasy set is looking like 2025, I believe, is the timeline for that. So, next up, PlayStation 5s at EVO. So, Kotaku reports that PS5s at EVO 2023 were running hot enough that their back USB ports were melting. So this is apparently, I guess, not an unknown issue. Like this is apparently a known problem. Um, but like PS5s, just I guess aren't designed. And I don't know if this is like a specific run of PS5s, but it was like a whole bunch of them at the tournament, like because they were just constantly running. Um, they were like the back USB ports, which are located right next to the heat exhaust, were getting so hot that like the controller connectors were becoming hot to the touch after a single match, and the like port casings were melting onto the controller connectors and like ruining them. So this is just, if you've got a PS5, maybe keep an eye out for that. Don't put stuff in that back connector port. Maybe keep an eye on them. Also make sure that you have plenty of airflow around it. So yeah, that's just a little PSA from our people over at Evo melting their PS5s over Street Fighter. And speaking of which, our final news for the podcast this week, IGN reports that the latest edition of the Street Fighter franchise, Street Fighter 6, is getting a collaboration with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to help promote the series coming back, the 1980s series coming back to Nickelodeon, as well as the new movie coming out. So the Turtles won't be full characters, but there will be full body costumes that you can apply to your character to make it look like the Turtles are fighting, with like custom emote sets, as well as like little like pieces of swag for your character. So like if you don't want to do a full turtle costume, your character could wear like the turtle bandanas and stuff, but still like be their regular self. But like stickers, like a new in-game shop layout type thing for the turtle stuff, emotes, all that jazz. So that's dope. I like that. I love it. I think it would be even cooler if they were full-fledged characters, but like, that you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Capcom is like probably one of the best at doing collaborations like this. They do a ton of them for Monster Hunter, so it's really great to see them with other properties doing that. So yeah, Heroes in the Half Shell. All right, that is going to wrap up this week's episode, as we are doing sort of that shorter format. Just because I don't have as much time these days, it seems, to listen to podcasts because I'm not sitting in the car doing a commute most times, like most days during the week. So if you would like to get more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can check out the website at 8bitadventures.com. If you would like to help support all of that content, there's a couple ways you can do that, but the best place to do it is over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and that gets you early access to things, to content. It gets you behind the scenes access to some things. There are about 50 sort of single panel patron only, like patron exclusive comics featuring my dog that are up there. And there is a patron only channel, like there's a patrons channel in the Discord server as well. So I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of my patrons for their continued support. It really helps quite a bit to help offset like server costs and hosting costs and things like that. So thank you very much. And finally, the opening theme for this podcast for 285 episodes has been One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can check out his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And so with that, we're all done for this week. Hope you all have enjoyed listening to this episode. And as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake. Take care, everyone.